Good afternoon, everybody. This is the meeting of the Information Technology and General Services Committee. Um, just calling it to order. Today is Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020. Are we live?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Um, someone just told me that they can't see us there. Today's Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020. It's now 1:02 p.m. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Councilmember Lee,
Present?
Councilmember Blumenfield,
Present.
Councilmember Rodriguez. 2 members present.
Great, thank you very much. Let's see. Next. So, as indicated on the agenda, members of the public wishing to offer public comment need to call in. Mr. King, will you give instructions on how to do public comment?
As indicated on the committee agenda, members of the public who would like to offer public comment on the items listed on the agenda should call 1-669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 161-118-5702 and then press pound. Press pound again when prompted for participant ID. Once admitted into the meeting, press star 9 to request to speak. Again, members of the public who would like to offer public comment on the items listed on the agenda should call 1-669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 161-118. Yes, sir.
I've just been notified that we're having some IT problems, so I think we need to hold off. It's not.
Yes, sir.
If we can just take a short recess of 5 minutes.
Will do.
All right.
You are now live.
Chairman Lee, I think you are muted.
Thanks, Stephen. Okay, let's try this. Let's try this one more time. So, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the meeting of the Information Technology and General Services Committee. I am now calling the meeting to order. Today is Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020, and the time is 1:07 p.m. Clerk, Mr. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Councilmember Lee,
Present?
Councilmember Blumenfield,
Present.
Councilmember Rodriguez. We have 2 members present.
Okay, we have a quorum going on. So, Mr. Clerk, can you give instructions on how people call in for public comment?
Yes, Mr. Chair. As indicated on the committee agenda, members of the public who would like to offer public comment on the items listed on the agenda should call 1-669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 161-118-5702 and then press pound. Press pound again when prompted for participant ID. Once admitted into the meeting, press star 9 to request to speak. Again, members of the public who would like to offer public comment on the items listed on the agenda should call 1-669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 161-118-5702 and then press pound. Press pound again when prompted for participant ID. Once admitted into the meeting, press star 9 to request to speak. When it is your time to speak, please indicate which specific agenda item you would like to speak on. Please turn down the volume on your devices on which you are listening to the meeting to avoid any feedback due to the time lag.
Thank you very much. Mr. King, can you get the first caller, please?
Caller with the last 4 digits, your phone number 1108. Please press star 6 to unmute yourself. Please state your name and which items you'd like to speak on. Caller with the last four, 1108, please press star 6 to unmute yourself, and please state your name and which items you'd like to speak on.
Yeah, hi, it's Daniel Gus. I'd like to speak on all items and general public comment. What's my
Okay,
time on that?
You'll have 2 minutes and for the items and 1 minute for general public comment.
Okay, great, thank you. I'm starting my clock there. Council members, a few items in particular, one's good and one, there's some questions that come up. Item number 5, it's tremendous mistake to publicize that it's a flash system 9200 drive. You are basically telling anybody who has nefarious intentions what technology you're using. That's a really bad idea to put in a public document. I don't know what you can do to undo this. Taking it out is not going to help now. But anybody who is intent on harming the system for the city now knows what technology you're using. And it's a tremendous mistake to do that. Also, that item is unclear about what it has to do with the COVID-19 state of emergency, which is a health crisis. Are you just doing this while people are working remotely? It's just a really bad idea to put that information there. And also, you're confusing people when you say it's during the state of the health state of emergency. It's a really bad idea. Similarly, item number 7 is very vague. It doesn't say whether you're using these upgrades, which are good ideas for these upgrades in item number 7, but you're not being clear as to whether this is for city employees working from home or non-city employees who have no relationship to the city, and it's very unclear the way it's worded. And I don't know who's writing these things, but you need to take into consideration how members of the public, not like us who are basically ingrained in the fabric of City Hall, but the information you're putting out there absolutely can cause harm to the city when you're trying to do good things. Going back to number 5 for a minute, it's basically the same thing as, you might as well put your passwords on the internet, because if you're telling them that you're using a flash drive 9200, you're putting the city in tremendous peril. I'm going to move on to my general public comment now. We are in a time of all sorts of FBI investigations into the city. And I look at this agenda and I see one obscure nonprofit after another, one LLC after another. And I'm wondering, does anybody have a good handle on who is behind the nonprofits, who is behind the LLCs? Because a lot of the trouble that is causing City Hall to be under intensive FBI and U.S. attorney scrutiny is because a lot of council members just look the other way while Englander and Weezer, and we know who else, was on the take. And who is looking after these things? Because the next time somebody gets indicted, the council members are not going to say, oh, I didn't know that this LLC did this, or I didn't know that this nonprofit did that. There's a lot of very, very, very extensive use of these nonprofits and LLCs. And I'm telling you, the way I see it, it's really unhealthy, and image is everything these days.
Okay, thank you, caller. That concludes your time. Caller with the phone number last digits are 1403. Please press star 6 to unmute yourself. State your name and which items you'd like to speak on.
Afternoon, Korean niggers. All items and general public comment.
Okay, you'll have 2 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment.
Dumb John Lee. Look at item 5. You told him who makes the flash drive 92 system, IBM. Now everybody will have the backdoor keys, and they'll hack into all of your devices. Oh my God, what a dumb bunch of fucking niggers you are. You know, that's the way you do it. Just, you might as well give out the passwords to the city's computers too while you're at it. You are such a bunch of fucking niggers. Then we have this mobile devices on 8. Again, more theft, more stealing. You don't know how many phones you have. You don't know who's using it. Jose Weezer had 5 city-provided phones. Did you know that? And the FBI's got 4 of them. know where it is. Well, read City Watch LA. It might come up in the near future. I'm just guessing. Now, we have an FBI target running this meeting. Bob. Blob and Bleal. How fucking stupid. You got to get this guy off the council.
Caller,
Yeah,
what
you got to.
item are you speaking on?
Yeah, 1 fucking minute. Yeah. Anyway, why do we have an FBI target running information technology
Caller.
general school?
What
Yeah.
item are you speaking on?
Well, I was speaking on the information technology item on the IS 9200 while you fucking interrupted me.
Go ahead.
Let's just go into general. Are we going to general?
Yes, 1 minute for public comment.
Yeah, I was wondering if the FBI was at John Lee's door. Okay, apparently he's still there. That's good. Mr. Blob and Bleal, I don't know how you say your name. Get John Lee the fuck off of these committees. Do what they did to Weezer, man. Send them home with pay. It's gonna happen, man. They're gonna knock on that door unannounced, and we're gonna have another vacant council seat soon. You can't be staffer B and expect to get away. You're not gonna get away. See, your boss couldn't get away. I can't believe you. I can't believe you guys sit there and let these guys just manage our fucking money. But you know what? Everybody's laughing at the city council. They're laughing at you motherfuckers because you're showing the world that the FBI needs to take over the city's charter. That's what you're doing. And I wish you the best of luck with that.
Okay, thank you, caller. That concludes your time.
Fuck.
Mr. Chair, that concludes public comment.
Thank you, Mr. King. Mr. Blumenfield, if you don't have any objections, I would like to take items 1, 4, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 on consent.
No objections.
Okay. That being said, Mr. Clerk, can you please call the roll on those items?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Councilmember Blumenfield.
Aye.
This item is approved. These items are approved.
Okay, thank you very much. Why don't we take item number 2, Mr. Clerk, if you can read that.
Item number 2 is a motion, Blumenfield Bonin, relative to directing the Department of General Services, with the assistance of the city attorney, to negotiate and execute a nonprofit license agreement with Tarzana Treatment Centers, Incorporated, for the continued use of a city-owned parking lot across the street from their facility located at 18646 Oxnard Street in Tarzana.
Mr. Blumenfield?
Yeah, I'd like to make a minor technical amendment or minor amendment to this, which is to add at the end of the moving clause, quote, for a monthly rental amount of $795, so that it reads, I therefore move the Department of General Services, yada, 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 and then their address, and then says for a monthly rental amount of $795. That was inadvertently left off.
All right. With that amendment, Mr. Clerk, can you take the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Councilmember Blumenfield.
Aye.
This item is approved as amended.
Okay, can we move on to item number 3, please?
Item number 3 is a LA for Kids Steering Committee report relative to directing the Bureau of Engineering to work with Council District 3 and the Department of Recreation and Parks to identify up to $975,000 in funding for the acquisition of property located at 18216 Sherman Way, owned by the Magnolia Science Academy for the Reseda Skate Park Facility Project, requesting the Board of Recreation and Park Commissioners to approve the acquisition and related authorities, and authorizing the Bureau of Engineering to continue implementation of the design phase and concurrently proceed with the acquisition.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I believe Councilmember Blumenfield would like to speak on this item.
Yeah, and I actually have a small technical amendment. To replace the number 975,000 with 1 million. that was what the total appraisal max is. We hope that it's going to be less than that, but it's a critical piece to this project, which is we're building we have a public-private partnership to build a skate rink in Reseda. The architects say we need a little bit more space than what we have to make it efficient. So we are acquiring a sliver of the land next to Magnolia School. We've worked it out with them. We just have to figure it out, negotiate it, because there's parking involved and other issues that may change the ultimate price. But the idea is to have up to $1 million as this amendment. So if I could make that technical change from 975,000 to 1 million.
Okay, if we can, with that amendment, Mr. Clerk, can you call the roll on that item?
Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Councilmember Blumenfield.
Aye.
This item is approved as amended.
Okay, that moves us to item number 5.
Item number 5 is a motion, Krikorian O'Farrell, relative to accepting a donation from IBM of a flash system 9200 drive with accompanying hardware, 5-year warranty, and 5 years of complimentary service, valued at approximately $1 million for use by the Information Technology Agency to upgrade the city's critical data storage operations during the COVID-19 state of emergency.
I believe we have city staff here to speak on the item.
Yes, good afternoon. This is Laura Ito with Information Technology Agency. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Councilmember Bloomfield?
A couple of questions. So it's great that we're getting this donation. What's the useful life of this flash system?
Yes, based on the ITA's recommended hardware refresh policy, the useful life for this would be 5 to 7 years.
So are we going to, get new equipment at the end of the 5-year warranty, or at the end of its useful life? And if it's still working after 5 years, does that mean that we're going to need to pay IBM for maintenance, or could we maintain it in-house? So basically trying to figure out, are there any costs that are tagged to this that we may not be seeing?
Certainly. Well, at the end of the 5 years or just prior, we'll be reevaluating whether we need to continue the use of this storage. And that'll be dependent on things like how many applications have been moved to the cloud. So, for example, some of the applications that are currently in ITA's data center, Pacer, LA Tax, we know that those applications will be moving to the cloud or to be hosted. So those will be large systems no longer in the data center. So we're really going to have to reevaluate the usage and the capacity needs. However, if we do need to continue using this equipment, we have an estimate right now of $50,000 for annual support, and we would obtain that through a general services contract for support. They competitively bid all of their contracts, so it would go through that process to get annual hardware support.
Okay. Great. And then lastly, one of the callers raised a question about security, about, is there a risk of us having publicly stating that it's a flash system, 9200 drive? Does that create any risk in your opinion?
No. Certainly ITA has a much more sophisticated architecture for securing our system, so just disclosing the name of a product that we use is not a security vulnerability, and this is information that would be publicly available anyway. Anyone could ask for a copy of our purchase orders, and that would be disclosed to the public if they were interested in knowing that. So this isn't a security risk in our opinion.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Bloomfield. Thank you, Ms. Ito. I don't have any questions. Mr. Clerk, if you can call the roll on this item.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Councilmember Blumenfield.
Aye.
This item is approved.
Okay, that moves us to item number 7.
Item number 7 is a motion, Lee O'Farrell, relative to instructing the Information Technology Agency in consultation with the City Administrative Officer and Chief Legislative Analyst to develop and present a report on the implementation of innovative technologies and effective practices for remote work, building resources and human capital, protective measures against cyber threats, and enhance partnerships among various levels of government with priority given to providing core services remotely to city residents.
Thank you, Armando. I believe we have our general manager from ITA, Ted Ross, here to tell us a little bit more.
Absolutely. Good afternoon. Ted Ross, General Manager at ITA. First and foremost, I apologize for the delay in the report. It seems each week we're adding new items, so we're 8 pages and counting. I think at this point we should simply finalize it and submit it. As you can imagine, things have been changing so quickly when it comes to the technologies we're being used in the COVID response and just the response to the pandemic. I think this pandemic is just yet another reminder why City of LA employees and the services that we deliver should be online, digital, and connected. Of course, that's coming from the general manager of the Information Technology Agency, so no surprise there. But really, it started off with work from home for city employees. So, anticipating the mayor's Safer at Home emergency order on March 19th, the ITA began moving City of LA employees into a teleworking platform. It is a secure work from home platform that gives them access to capabilities on their computer and some additional items, and we call it Connect to LA City. Within 72 hours of March 19th, we had 12,000 teleworkers on the platform. Today, we have over 18,000 teleworkers working through that platform. To enable our remote workers, we also have modern Google Suite capabilities. It's email, it's calendar, it's cloud drives, video conferencing software, etc. I was just chatting with some folks before this committee, and it's a statistic that most don't realize, but we've been doing about 2,000 plus video conferences a day on Google Meet during the work week, which is just a reminder of how critical a lifeline it's been for people to work together, for people to hold public meetings and discussions, etc. Every week, to try to help build the capabilities of our remote workers, or every other week, I should say, we've been holding what we call office hours or virtual training sessions. We've covered Google Drive. We've covered how to build websites. We've covered advanced calendar. We've covered basic cybersecurity training. And we've had multiple sessions with over 1,000 city employees attending. Just gives you some of the insight as to how big of an appetite people have to gain their skills, build their skills in this digital world. On top of the workforce side, we've also gotten the report and the draft, the information on the COVID specific apps. There was a tremendous need for digital services that became immediate for the public, apps we never had before. So, early on, we built a COVID-19 testing app that got used for hundreds of thousands of tests, senior meals programs, disaster service worker assignments, emergency operations center logistics, rental assistance, council's virtual public meetings, etc. And then it very quickly shifted over to helping city departments provide their core services to LA citizens. Through the mayor's contactless government executive directive, the IT launched a digital public services toolkit that we provide to every city department, and we provide consultation to city departments. And it covers kind of a really straightforward question. If you had to close a service due to COVID, then it wasn't digital. And if it's not digital, let's do everything it takes to make it digital. Of course, you can't digitize playing golf or swimming in a swimming pool or some of those other things that are inherently physical experiences. But we've got in there how to set up basic websites and forms, how to manage customers and maybe case management. We provide solutions and we give examples in our toolkit. We discuss tools to how to empower a workforce that includes Google Suite, includes our work from home resources, but also free online technical training. A big shout out to the library. Any Angelina with a library card can use lynda.com for free and have access to a treasure trove of training, whether it's technical or practical or project management, you name it. And then we also discussed how to take public services to the next digital level. So we've got a citywide contract now for e-signature services. We have identity management that we provide through the department's cloud hosting, robocalling services, automated email handling, etc. And of course, last of all, we talked about, as written in the motion, around cybersecurity. As you can imagine, now is the time to secure our digital services and our digital workforce. There's a 300+% increase in ransomware and cyber attacks since the start of COVID. So we have annual cybersecurity training requirements for each employee. We perform periodic email phishing exercises. In fact, some came out in the last few days, and I've been getting emails from people saying, "Hey, Ted, is this legit? What's going on here?" And yes, it is a test. So we test people to see if they click on a suspicious link. And if they do, we, of course, try to help direct them to training so they can stop doing that. going into the future. And we also now do something that no other city does. We perform weekly cybersecurity scans. These are vulnerability scans of all public-facing websites, apps, and servers. And we report these every month to departments through a monthly dashboard with a security score. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of content in here, and I really do appreciate the motion, emphasizing the need for us to be an innovative city, to leverage cloud, to leverage machine learning, artificial intelligence, all the kind of modern technologies. And I'm certainly open for questions, and I promise we'll have this report to you quite soon.
Thanks, Ted. The one question I have is that, with the cybersecurity and vulnerability from all of us working from home, I know that we've been given the ability to access our files and everything. Does it create any other level of security that we need to be concerned about that, now that we're all working from our home computers?
Yeah, and so, one of the strengths of working at an office computer is it's within our firewall. We have control of the hardware and the certain things that we can implement. So when it came to rolling out a work from home platform, we made sure to build a lot of those same security measures and even some new security measures into them. So first of all, we use things like multi-factor authentication. So when you're logging in from home, we require a cell phone so that we can confirm that it is truly you. We have encryption in the entire connection. So the communication between your work computer and your home computer, or I should say your home computer and our apps, is completely encrypted with very robust encryption. We use very modern. This is an item where we will not say what vendors we use or how we use it. Unlike the SAN storage item, this is not something that's worth putting into the public space. But we absolutely provide additional levels of capability. We consulted very closely with FBI and Secret Service before we rolled out this platform. And security is never one of those things where you can be 100% airtight. But the city of LA, the types of issues that we run into with people working at home, we've been working very aggressively to have both system solutions for it as well as training solutions for it. So we're taking a lot of efforts to both secure the human as well as secure the tools that they use.
Thanks, Ted. And I know that, the city was moving towards, more platforms for virtual meetings, but then we all got kind of, thrown into the water, and you had to react real quick. I mean, you did a great job, so I look forward to, hearing the report back on sort of what steps we need to take next to ensure, because, no one has a crystal ball to see when this is all going to end. Hopefully, it's sometime soon, but I know there's different things that we're going to need to update. So, thanks,
Yep.
Ted. Councilman Bloomfield, do you have any questions?
No, I mean, I'm excited, glad for the report. And as you said, even when this ends, we are never going to go back to the way we were. And we have all this new, connecting technology and ways to do things. Yeah, we look forward to seeing each other in person, but the stuff we're doing now is not just for COVID. It's going to help us well into the future.
I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head. It makes us a better workforce. It makes us a greener workforce. It makes us a more resilient workforce. The original teleworkers started IT a couple of years ago, and that had to do with our 311 call center, and it was trying to make them more resilient in case there was like a natural disaster. We could run 311 from across the city. So fast forward to today, in which you're talking about over 18,000 teleworkers, and that's to ensure that trash gets picked up, that policing occurs, all those really critical services. And so, there's a lot of bad aspects of COVID, but if there is a silver lining, one of them is that it's forcing organizations like ours to modernize. And in that way, as an IT general manager, I welcome that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ted. Mr. Clerk, can you call the roll on this item?
Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Councilmember Blumenfield,
Aye.
this item is approved.
All right. And then can you move on to item number 8?
Item number 8 is a motion, Lee Blumenfield, relative to instructing the Information Technology Agency to report back in 30 days regarding the number and cost of mobile devices funded by the city, various mobile carriers utilized by the city, number of city staff and costs required to administer billings and review mobile carrier invoices, repairs and replacement of mobile devices, and suggestions and best practices to lower the city's overall cost of mobile services and achieve cost savings.
Thank you very much. I know that we're all the council members and all the departments are looking at different ways of providing some certain cost savings, and so this is a motion I introduced to even though it might be a small little chunk, but hopefully it's something that affects our budget. Ted, can you talk a little bit more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. This is an item that we were ready to get the report together, but we're still missing some information from 4 departments. And honestly, I have to give credit to the city departments. Of the 29 city departments with cellular devices, 25 of them were able to, within a matter of a couple of weeks, get us all the information we needed. And so we just have 4 remaining that I've promised to have it to us very quickly. To give you a bit of a rough estimate, we're looking at 29 different departments in which there's about a number of 29,458 devices. Now, when we have this, we're still breaking them out between smartphone, laptops, tablets, etc. So we'll make sure it's very specific regarding cellular phones and cellular devices that were asked for. The total cost, as you can imagine, is almost $1 million a month across all these departments for all these services. And so I think the council member is hitting the nail on the head, because this is one of those items that people have separate budget and then they have multiple contracts to choose from. We've noticed even from cursory analysis that some departments are not leveraging, the common T-Mobile cellular service, but they're leveraging some others. And on the face of it, it would appear that while we're spending around $12.50 a month for cellular service, which is a tremendous discount, some departments have been spending upwards of $50 a month. And so we're drilling in deeper to get a better understanding. What on earth are you paying for through some of the services that you have? And so both from a services perspective, because we have augmentation in various buildings, so when people start to come back in the office, they'll actually have much better connectivity and much better coverage if they're using the city's central vendor. But in addition to that, they're of course spending large amounts of money more. And so we have a spread across 4 major carriers. We have been following up on it. We're also looking at the FTE that city departments are putting in when it comes to the support and maintenance of it. And so we expect to very shortly have those last 4 departments and have a finalized report for you.
I appreciate that, Ted. I know that we have like a main contract with, I believe, T-Mobile,
Yes.
if I'm correct. And I know that with departments, but even council offices can be resistant. Depending on where the council member lives and what coverage.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's all foreign to me.
So, utilizing, I know there's companies out there that get a big discount regarding whatever carrier. So I'm sure in your report if you can just make sure that we look at it, not only the savings of moving all the departments and everyone to one carrier, what that savings would be,
Yeah.
Because no matter what the number is, I think it's something that we need to look at and make sure that we're getting the best bang for our buck there. So.
Absolutely. One other item I failed to mention but should is, in the new normal, we have people carrying multiple phones. And in the past, we discussed this 4 or 5 years ago of maybe providing a stipend to city employees. But what ends up happening is someone carries a personal cell phone, they also carry a work cell phone. And so we'd love to open up conversations that we're going to include in our report with CAO, labor relations, and others, that maybe it makes sense that instead of spending that $12.50 for a city-issued phone, if that someone voluntarily chose to use their personal phone, then they could get that stipend instead paid to them, because requiring everyone to carry multiple cell phones around is not always of a great benefit. Yeah, there are some items to be discussed. There's issues related to public records and a set of others, but we do welcome potentially having that conversation, because requiring people to carry multiple cell phones around may not really be in the best interest of us as a city.
All right, thanks, Ted. Councilman Blumenfield, do you have any questions?
Nope.
All right. That being said, Ms. Clerk, can you call the roll on this item?
Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Councilmember Blumenfield.
Aye.
This item is approved.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, do we have anything else on the desk?
The desk is clear, Mr. Chair.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us at the IGGS committee, and our meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Bob.